To be completely fair, I probably would say Dexcom G7 is overrated.
I will say that it is underrated.
Is Omnipod 5 overrated or underrated?
I think it's overrated, and I think it's overrated for a few specific reasons.
I don't think I ever spent $100 on anything that brought me so much value. Welcome to the Diabetes Unlocked podcast. I'm Tom.
And I'm Christelle, and between us, we have over 60 years of experience living with type 1 diabetes.
And today we are doing something a little bit different. We'll be sharing our thoughts on different diabetes tech items that we tried.
That is right. And this episode is all about underrated versus overrated. So we'll give you our elevator pitch on why certain diabetes tech is super, or we'll give you the negative pitch, or let's call it the devil advocate pitch on why we don't think it's worth it.
Yes, and I think the ultimate goal is to share with you why we think certain tech items are worth your money and time and why some are not. So let's get into it and see if you agree with us.
Absolutely. So we compiled a list. And again, we're focusing on diabetes tech today. And some of them, Tom, I kind of have a feeling that we agree on. And some of them I don't think we'll agree on, which is hopefully going to be good content. So should we just kick it off with the first item?
Yeah, definitely. So the first item is glucometer. So do you think glucometer is overrated or underrated, Crystal?
It's underrated. It's definitely underrated. What do you think?
I also think it's underrated, especially by some of the CGM companies. Who will tell you in their commercials, no more finger pricks? Not pointing my fingers, but I've heard it somewhere. And I think, CGMs, continuous glucose monitors are great. I think it's one of the 3 biggest inventions in the history of diabetes. But sometimes they don't work 100%. And I think during those times, it's really great to be able to check my blood sugar, like do the finger prick. And also when the CGM is warming up, or when I don't bring one to the office and one of my CGM sensor expires, I think it's something like a glucometer is something I have in my bag almost all the time, and I cannot imagine being without it. That's why I think it's underrated.
I think it's underrated because not everyone has access to a CGM. And for most of us, we can't feel necessarily, well, I know I can't feel if my blood sugar is high. I can usually feel when my blood sugar is really low, but I kind of want to catch it before then. So I think it's underrated in the sense that just relying on how our bodies feel is not going to be accurate enough. And also, if you don't know what's going on, if you don't know how your blood sugars are reacting to certain things, it's going to be pretty much impossible to achieve a good average blood sugar.
Yeah, I agree. So the next one, and I'm really curious what you're going to say for this one. So the next one is one of the CGMs that we pre-selected, and it's Dexcom G7. So do you think Dexcom G7 is overrated or underrated?
That one is a hard one for me. You're right. I want to say maybe, but I'm not allowed to do that, or I want to say in between. I will say that it is underrated. And I'll say that it's underrated because it's one of those things that I really wouldn't be without. It's my Dexcom G7. I change it pretty much the second that, the old sensor expires. It gives me insights. And what I talked about before, and, not necessarily being able to feel where my blood sugars are at. Well, the G7 alerts me before things go haywire. So that means that I can be proactive in my care and not have a lot of those nasty blood sugars where I'm like sweating, shaking, emptying the fridge.
Fair. I get it. I think we haven't set the rules. We didn't say if we need to stick to underrated or overrated, or if we can say properly rated. And I think maybe just in case you're not sure about some of the other items, maybe we could allow ourselves to say properly rated. Because for Dexcom G7, I also feel like I'm somewhere in the middle. I would not necessarily say it's overrated or underrated, but there are things that are pointing to both directions. Like, to be completely fair, I probably would say Dexcom G7 is overrated. And the main reason is I'm using Dexcom G6 myself. And that shows me I like Dexcom G6 better than Dexcom G7, or for me, it's a better option. And when I go back to creating my first video about Dexcom G7, I know there was a lot of hype. I was really excited. This is a new shiny CGM that is smaller and that has more features, everything like that. And so I I kind of contributed to the hype with my own videos. And I think back then I would not say that it's overrated. I was probably would be like, oh, this is a great product. But just because I'm using the G6, I feel like the readings are more like fluid or more stable. They are not so sketchy when it comes to the glucose values coming out of the app. That's why I stick to the G6. But to be fair, there are a lot of great features on the G7 that you cannot get anywhere else. And you can customize the alarms and alerts so much with the G7. And you simply can't get it anywhere else. And I think we have to give this credit to the G7, but I still feel like the algorithm is not perfect. Maybe last point I would say, I saw a lot of people lately complaining about the G7. Like they were complaining about the sensor didn't come in properly. I think you had that thing too. Just I saw it on your Instagram. They are complaining about the localization, that you cannot install the app when you are abroad. And there's like so many little things that people complain about that I personally, I cannot say I complain about them too, but I just hearing from a lot of sides that people are getting a bit more critical with Dexcom lately. Yeah, I will say Dexcom G7 is overrated. So we have some strong decisions here as well.
Well, I mean, it does make me think about how I answered this, because I kind of answered generically about CGMs, because that was a generic CGM answer I gave. So, I mean, I would not downgrade. I would say that to G6 again, but I do think the G7 has more upsides than it has downsides. Are there things that are annoying? Absolutely. And that is why I was like, hey, it's a little hard for me to give a yes or a no, because I have had the gooseneck action. I just took one new off yesterday morning. That did again. I wonder if I can show it. For anyone listening, I'm sorry you can't see this. For anyone watching, let's see if we can. Oh, we can't do that. But no, you can't see that. But the little wire sticking up through the hole in the sensor, that means that the wire there's no wire sticking out here. It did not go into my body. It just did a little flibble on the actual sensor, and then I had to take it off and I have to get a replacement. I've had one that failed right after insertion. I don't think I've ever had that with G6. So there's some functional things that are not working with G7. Is it a problem if you have enough of a backfill and you just get a replacement? No. But is it a problem if you're traveling? Like I've been doing a lot, so I've started to, now I don't just bring one extra sensor when I travel, I bring two if I'm only gone for a week, because the likelihood of one failing is pretty darn high. And unfortunately, 2 trips, I've had 2 sensors fail. So if I can sort of like go a step further down, I would say G7 functionalities, underrated. G7, some of the hardware things, overrated. So I would kind of set it like that. That's a lot of talk about G7, wasn't it?
I think that makes. I think you explained it really well, and I didn't remember the word to use. Gooseneck. When you when the filament doesn't go in your arm and it comes out on the other side. I never had that myself, but I've seen this a lot. A lot of people had it, and like I guess everyone when you experience it, you put a photo on the social media, so it's like more visible than it actually happens, I think. So let's not stick too long with the Dexcom G7. I'll move to the next one, okay? Because this next item on the list, Crystal, this is something I picked especially for you, and it's a food scale. So it's a food scale, underrated or overrated?
Absolutely underrated. People are not using it enough. You are not using it enough. You're not using it enough because you're guesstimating your carbs. Food scale, I'm not saying use it every time, but it can help you calibrate what's actually in the food that you eat. So in the sense that, let's say you eat a banana a day. It's great. That's 20 grams of carbs. This is standard run of milk. It's not, right? And not all sizes of bananas, not all bananas are the same size. So just once in a while, take your fruit, your oatmeal, or whatever you're eating, put it on the food scale, look it up just to gauge how many carbs are, not gauge, get an exact number for how many carbs are in your food. So that would be my pitch for food scales.
Yeah, well done. I think the average banana should have 28 carbs. I recently looked it up when I was making a video about fruit. But yeah, I mean, I will say food scale is probably overrated, especially by youth, because I don't use it. Like I use it very rarely. We have it at home, but I feel like I can do without it. Like I can eat, I can get the insulin dose right most of the time without a food scale. It's a hard one for me because I really don't use it. But I have a strong opinion on it, just because I'm lazy. So that's not a disadvantage of a food scale.
But I would challenge you, try using it for a week and then see if it makes a difference. Because I think you don't know if it makes a difference because you haven't tried.
Right. So, but like, how am I gonna use it? So let's say I come home today for dinner. I'm gonna put stuff on my plate and then like put an empty plate on the scale, somehow calibrate it or see how heavy the plate is, and then put the food on it. But then do I have to, if I have a rice, meat, and some veggies, for example, do you measure these things separately? Like do you weight the rice first because it has the most carbs to see how many carbs you have, and then you do the rest, or you just do the carby ones?
Focus on the carbs. So if you're having like rice stew, I would focus on the rice and then simply measure that out. So it's also about giving a value to volume in the sense that if you have a fist size of rice, yes, how much does that weigh so that you can get an accurate carb count?
1 cup.
Oh, 1 cup, yes. So you can just go, well, I guess you can also go into Google and say how many carbs in 1 cup of rice. I never got around to really use the cups and the teaspoons and all that. That's not what I grew up with. I grew up with scale. So maybe that's also why I'm so conditioned to the scale rather than cups. Do you use cups in Switzerland?
No, but it's a US thing. So I just know
Yeah.
many people who watch us are from the US. So I often use it. Like, I also think it's practical. Sometimes you can measure things as a cup. But I mean, on a scale, you don't have cups, right? On a scale, you have grams or kilograms, I guess, even in the US.
You have fluid ounces as well. Yeah.
Interesting.
And also,
I don't.
I have a food scale also because I bake a lot. For baking, you need precision. So that's why I have it. And then I've just gotten into the habit of weighing things out. So I think something sneaky is something like carrots. I really enjoy carrots and it's great fiber. It's also pretty high in carbs. If I don't weigh them out, if I don't take insulin for my carrots, I am going to see a blood sugar rise. And I actually find that it's pretty hard to gauge how many carbs are in carrots.
Yeah, it is. I remember putting them in the yellow bowl because I was making a video about vegetables and divided them into green bowl, yellow bowl, and red bowl, like depending how much they spike blood sugar. And I know carrots go in the yellow bowl. I remember that. But I think I interrupted you earlier when you were like explaining how I should do it. So I weight the rice. Let's say the rice is, I don't know, 150 grams. Is this a normal portion size, or 200 grams? I don't know even how much I eat. And then I say, okay, how many carbs I have in 100 grams, and then that's how I get to the carb count, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how we do it.
Absolutely. There's actually some smart scales that will also give you the carbs. That'll give you the macronutrients breakdown and whatever you put on. So you can be like, okay, it's a rice, you plop it on there and it will give you the total. I don't have any recommendations for any of them. I don't use them, but I know they exist. Maybe we should get one, Tom, and try that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, we will. I will see. I start with my dinner today and see if I can do that and go from there. Don't want to set too high of goals for me. Just start small. So let's go to the next one, okay? So the next one is smart insulin pen. So is a smart insulin pen overrated or underrated, Crystal?
Well, there are different smart insulin pens, by the way. The one I use is the InPen, and that is highly underrated. I think everyone who injects insulin uses MDI, multiple daily injections, should have access to an InPen. So clearly I like it. The reason why it's so brilliant is that, yes, it delivers insulin like any other insulin pen, but it also has memory. So it remembers how much I've taken, Bluetooth that directly to an app on my phone. That means I can go back and see what worked. It also has a dose calculator fructose calculator means that I just tap in my blood sugars, tap in my carbs, which I've used my kitchen scale to find. And then it suggests how much insulin I should take. I can choose to do it or not to do it, but that means it does all the math. It keeps track of everything. It remembers how much insulin I've taken, so it can tell me how much insulin, active insulin I've got going. And I think it has freed up so much brain power that I was using on keeping track on all these things, doing all the math. And, I like my data. The analytics are pretty darn cool. I have a report where I see my Dexcom with my in-pen data, so I can see this is a dose, this is how much I took, it's visual, there's numbers, all the things. It makes me happy.
I get it. I also like data and graphs and analytics. So I totally understand. And on this one, I agree with you. I think smart insulin pen is underrated. Like I know that not a lot of people use it. And I tried it, I think it was a year ago or so when I tested in a pen, which is the same one that you are using. And I liked it. It was definitely better than running with like a traditional insulin pen and trying to remember everything or to write everything down and then remember it. Like it's just, I think it's impossible to remember when you took insulin last unless you write it down or unless you have like extremely good memory, which I don't have. So that's great. The only thing that bothered me about this one when I was using it was for my long-lasting insulin, I had to log that manually. So the smart pen only works with pre-meal insulin, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it would be really cool to have the same feature for the long-lasting, so that you remember if you took it, you don't have to like manually log it. But I guess it's quite expensive, right? The smart insulin pen, if it's not covered by insurance.
If it's not by insurance, yes. I think it's close to $1,000, $800 or $900. So I pay $30 a year because my insurance covers that. My insurance did not cover it for a while, and the manufacturer had a program. I will say, I think the downside to this is it's a little bigger than your pre-fill pen. That's because it's a durable pen, so you just, let me show you. You just change the cartridge, but that also means there's not as much trash. I'm not throwing out a whole pen every few days. Only when I'm done, I take out the cartridge, change that. So I like that. In the beginning, it was a little flimsy. I think they have improved on their design, so it's a better pen. Also, you can get in different colors if you're not into pink. This is a US product. I do want to point that out. This is a US product. There are, I believe, Novo Nordisk. I don't know why I said it like that. Novo Nordisk. I believe they also have the NovaPen 4 also has a smart capability, but I'm not 100% sure where it's available. But I should be paid by Novo Nordisk. This is brilliant. Use it if you can.
But this is made by Medtronic, so I don't know why Novo Nordisk would pay you. I know you just confused these.
I said them on it.
It's okay.
They're also paying me. Everybody should be paying me.
Definitely. And I think that it, like, if someone is listening to this and like interested, that they should definitely talk to their doctor. And some countries it will be available, some countries not. There might be different options in different countries. In Switzerland we have InPen, but that doesn't mean it's everywhere. So I guess that's how I would conclude on this one. Did I say? Oh, I already said that I think it's underrated as well. But the next one will be interesting. I'm also wondering what you're going to say on this one. So next one is insulin coolers. Overrated or underrated?
It's hard. That's hard.
Okay, I start.
You start.
If it's hard, you can think, and I'll start. I think insulin coolers are overrated because I almost never really need it. And I have like 10 of them at home because I make these videos on YouTube and each brand wants me to test their product, which I like to do, but I feel like I don't even have enough opportunities to test them because I rarely need them. With the pump, usually I have my insulin on body in the pump, and I don't need to cool the insulin. Even when I travel, most of the time I don't really need a cooler, exception like when I'm somewhere in the sun and I need to, for some reason, bring the extra insulin with me. So I feel it's a bit overrated. and sometimes people are cooling insulin when it's not really necessary. But you will probably have more. I think your opinion is more important here because you are using insulin pens, and with insulin pens, I think it might be a different story, and you use them more. So overrated or underrated, Crystal?
For me personally, actually, I think you brought up a really, really good point I hadn't thought about. That was the insulin pen versus insulin pump. For me personally, I live in a really, really warm place. So for me, it's underrated. I need it. So that's actually another thing with the InPen. It has a temperature thermometer, I guess. It'll tell me if the pen is getting too hot. That has happened before. That means that I've been in situations where my pen has been exposed to heat and to a level where it can potentially damage the insulin. I don't want that because insulin is expensive. So for me, it's actually something that I use on the regular. I use it when I go for longer hikes. I use it when I go to the beach or to the pool, which I do frequently when I'm in Miami, which is where I live. It's hot. It's really hot. Say for the average person who does not go to warm places, it is going to be highly overrated. To your point, there's a lot of situations where I don't need things cool because insulin can be stored at room temperature. So for example, if I'm going on a flight, even a 10-hour flight, for the most part, it's not going to be too hot or too cold if I bring the insulin with me into the cabin. So I don't really need to cool it there. I have it in a container, but a non-container. I have like a special bag for it because I travel with large quantities, but that was a yes and no answer. I feel like I just failed this task. But I also think there's difference. So there's insulin coolers is the one that actually keep the insulin at fridge temperatures. And then there's the cooling pouches that just prevents insulin from getting too hot. So it's two different products. And I think both have their place if you travel to places or if you live in places that are hot. Do you want
Job.
to
So
explain the? Thank you. Do you want to
a little bit of both. Well, I think so. You explain it. I don't really care, but you explain it.
No, I mean it's. If you read on the packaging anything, it says that insulin that's not in use should be kept at refrigerator temperatures. Insulin that's in use can be kept at room temperature, right? So I think the
Sorry, I thought you wanted to explain the difference between cooling versus just keeping it at the same temperature. I mean, obviously, I care about not my insulin getting damaged. I care about that. Sorry, I didn't mean to um say I don't care. I just misunderstood.
it's okay to not care. I think it all ties it. The thing is, if you take your insulin, leave it on your counter for the afternoon, it's probably going to be fine,
Yeah.
right? Just don't throw it in the fire. Don't throw it in the freezer, and overall be conscious about how you handle your insulin. And if it stops lowering your insulin, stop lowering your blood sugars as expected, it's probably gone bad. You need a new one.
Yes, agreed. Moving on to the next item, okay? So,
Sir.
and we were considering including an insulin pump on the list, but then we decided we actually pick one of the insulin pumps and put it here so that if, people like this kind of format, we can pick another one and then talk about that one because not every insulin pump is the same. And so Omnipod 5. I know you're not using Omnipod 5, Crystal, but just from what you know, what you heard, is Omnipod 5 overrated or underrated? And you can also say it's properly rated.
I think it's overrated. I think it's overrated, and I think it's overrated for a very specific for a few specific reasons. First of all, I think it's too big. I think the pod is way too big. I've tried they sent me at one point like a test pod. I was just like, no infusion set, anything I wear it on body. I think it's way too big. I'd say having it on the back of my arm, trying to do anything workout related was pretty much impossible. I don't like the algorithm. I don't like it learning my trends. I believe more in different types of algorithms that's more like reactive to current blood sugars. And to anyone who's got no clue what I'm talking about right now, the Omnipod 5 works with a CGM. They talk together. There's an algorithm there that kind of learns your trends, and then it delivers insulin based on that. So I think those are the two major downsides to it. Can it help a lot of people? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I think there are better solutions out there.
That's fair. So I will say, I hope I'm not going to get in trouble for this, but I will say Omnipod 5 is overrated as well. And the reason is,
Really?
I also don't love the Omnipod 5 algorithm. There's a lot of things I love about Omnipod, and I'm actually an Omnipod user. I I like the form factor, so I don't think it's too big. I think, I've been using it for more than a year, maybe 2 years now, and I like it. I got used to it. I would not go to a different pump in terms of the form factor. But I specifically don't love the algorithm of Omnipod 5, and that's why I'm using a different kind of Omnipod. I'm using Omnipod Dash, which is an older model, which is not a smart pump. It's not an automated insulin delivery system. And I'm using basically an off-market do-it-yourself solution that I can connect this old Omnipod with my CGM and still run an automated insulin delivery system, which is like an off-market. And yeah, that's why I just think Omnipod or Insulet, the company behind Omnipod, I think they need to work on that algorithm, because I feel it's great for people who really don't want to have low blood sugar. It's preventing low blood sugars extremely well from my experience. I used Omnipod 5. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I went immediately to Dash. I tried it. I just feel the Omnipod 5 algorithm is too conservative. So it will just give you less insulin than more. Like, it will always be on the scale, give less, do not have hypo, and not on that scale, like give more, just don't want to be high. Prefer to be like on the upper side of the range, I feel like sometimes. And I personally prefer to be on the lower side of the range. So we're not compatible in this respect. But I think many people are compatible, and like especially kids or teenagers or people who are very active. I think that's something that they appreciate, that they don't go low too often. They don't have low blood sugar too often. At the point where I am right now, I'm more concerned with high blood sugar than low blood sugars. So I just want to have a more aggressive algorithm. That's why I say it's overrated, because you don't hear about this. Like, you hear like how great of the system it is, and that will, from the clinical studies that the HbA1c of people who use it goes down, that the time in range goes up. That's all true. But I feel like if there was a way to customize it a little bit more for someone like me, this would make it a perfect system for me. That's why I'm saying Omnipod 5 is overrated, because I want Insulet to make it better. And I think they now need to, especially with some competition coming up with some new items. Sorry, I get all wild here when I'm talking a lot. I got really passionate because I really want it to get better. That's the main reason I'm criticizing it, to be honest.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, and I think you're spot on. It takes care of the lows maybe more than the highs. And one of the things that really annoys me, again, I haven't used it. I have friends who use it, and I've seen their graphs, and it doesn't give corrections. It gives a little bit incrementally more basal, but it doesn't give you like, so to name drop other brands, Tandem will give you like a correction. It'll be like, hey, your blood sugar is high. Here's insulin. Let's get it down. That was an awesome sound effect for that, by the way. But it will take blood sugars down, where I see, when I look at some of the graphs for some friends, you'll see blood sugars will come down, but it might take 2-3 hours. I'm not okay with that, which is also why, for example, right now I'm going to give myself a correction with my InPen. But I guess it comes down to personality. What I do like about it is that right now it's the only one that's not tubed. And I
Yeah,
understand why people like that.
I think that's huge. I'm not sure if I mentioned it earlier. Maybe I didn't. But for me, that's the main reason. Like, I want something that's where I don't have to deal with the tube. I was using Cube for like 30, no, not 30 years, 20 years. Since I was 12, 25 years with the Cube. And then when I went to this, I was like, oh, this is so much better. I don't need the Cube anymore. And the only thing that bothered me a little bit, I needed to find a sites on my body where it fits well, because not every sites that I used to use with the tube pump would work with this, because it's, something is sitting on your body, and when you want to lie down, and lying directly on this, then it's uncomfortable. So I just needed to get creative and find other sites, which I have. And now also talking to you, you gave me some recommendations what you saw with others, and most of them that I tried work. But yeah, I think after trying a pump without a tube, I think for anybody, I can imagine it's really hard to go back. The only reason would be the algorithm. Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I also like it's disposable. I know there's a lot of waste, but the fact that you can have one pod, like extra pod on you, so if any pod fails, you can just take a new one and replace it like a CGM. You don't get it with another pump. When another pump has an issue that you cannot fix yourself, you basically need to call the customer service and deal with it, which I can imagine is quite stressful. Here, you just grab a new one, no problem. Anyway, I think we talked a lot about Omnipod. I don't want to turn this into a commercial for them. So we should say something more critical, or move to the next one.
I think there was enough like constructive criticism that it's not the best product ever. Also, given that I wouldn't get it right now. No. Right now, no. Right now, there's not enough upside for me at all. So
Yeah.
is that? So let's try the next thing on the list. So there's something behind you, right?
Yes.
That is a diabetes tech.
Yes. And before we go to that, because I'm sure everybody wants to hear about it, it's the item on my shelf that's showing my glucose levels, which I hope you can see it now, Crystal, and anyone who is watching on YouTube can see it. But before we talk about it, because I know once we say, okay, this is the end of the video, everybody will go away. I just want to get feedback from the people who are watching if they like this overrated, underrated format, if we should do it again. Write us in the comments, please, if this makes sense, because this is a little bit different and we're trying to experiment a bit. So if you hate it, if it's terrible, write it there and criticize everything. If you love it, just write it there as well, please. And now we get to the magical item on the shelf. So overrated or underrated? Or should we first say what it is?
Well, I'm like looking. You see me like my nose is all the way in the camera. I'm looking. It looks like it says 103. So
yes, 103.
Blood sugars? No, you explain it. I don't have one. I look at it every time we chat, but I don't have one.
First of all, it's not fake. So that it always looks I have 103, like it changes based on my Dexcom data. So it's not fake. It's a blood sugar display. So it's connected to a CGM, and first of all, you can connect it to not only Dexcom, you can connect it to Freestyle Libre, and I think other CGMs as well. I'm not 100% sure, but I think most CGMs will work with this. And what it does is basically grabs the readings from the cloud. So the readings need to go to the clouds and from my phone, and then from there, this machine can see, what the value is, and it's changing the number and the arrow. There are some other display options. And yeah, so it's reading my glucose every 5 minutes. It's changing like my Dexcom. So what do you think? We need to say underrated, overrated. You want to say yours, or should I start with mine?
Maybe it's because I don't have one, so I haven't tried it, but it seems like an overrated thing. I understand that it's cool, but it's basically just a big display. And again, since I don't have one, I haven't the lived experience. But I mean, I can see my blood sugars on my phone. I can see my blood sugars I have a Fitbit watch, and I've linked that to my Dexcom as well. So I can see my numbers there. Do I need something blinking in the background? I don't know. Also, I looked at the price. I think it's kind of pricey. It's like $100 or more.
I think so. It's about $100, yes. Well, I would say it's definitely heavily underrated, because I don't think I ever spent $100 on anything that brought me so much value. Like I have one here, I have one in my living room, and I have one in my bedroom. So I have 3 of them. Well, full disclosure, 2 of them were gifted to me by the company, and so I think I need to say that. But honestly, I feel this is such a great option for anyone who doesn't want to look on the phone all the time, because I find myself, I'll go on my phone often to look only at my blood sugar, and I end up doing something completely different, and I completely forget I don't even look at it. I end up on some social media site, or my email, or like there's a million apps on the phone. And here when I'm working in the office, I just want to be on my computer and I just want to have a quick glance, it's perfect because I don't need to go in that phone. Like for me, phone is too toxic to go there too often. And also when I'm at home, sitting down to eat dinner, I just see the number. It's just very satisfying. Or leaving the house, I check the number. I don't need to look at my phone. I look at this maybe 30, 40 times a day. So I just think it's for $100. This is heavily underrated.
Well, maybe I need to try it. I have considered it. Again, I don't know. I got sticker shock, I guess.
Plus, as a YouTuber, Crystal, I will tell you, if you put this in your videos behind you, people will be watching longer because they want to know how your blood sugars turn out at the end of the video, which will bring you more followers.
That's true. I can tell you right now, they're horrendous. That's why I just took an insulin dose before, because this is a lot of sitting. Huh. Okay. Well, worth to consider. So those were 7 things. I want to do like a thumbs up, thumbs down recap. Are you in on that? So I'll give
Yes.
each of them, and then you do your up or your down, and then we can sort of see also if you change your mind on anything.
I hope I will remember what I said. Before we do that, just one last thing. This display is not like the only one. So I realized it sounded like I'm selling you this display. I don't really care if anyone buys it or not. But there are other options that you can get. And I know they are like double the price. So I think because you mentioned about, it sounds expensive. I think it cannot be made cheaper. But again, like there are other options. So you can get whatever you want if you are interested in anything like that.
I just see it be a good idea for parents, like having the display in, the bedroom. There's also, actually, I like the one as well. I've seen one that glows in different, I think yours also have colors, but there's one that I think it's only colors. So green if you're within range, and then, red if it's out of range, stuff like that. It might also be a way of taking the numbers out of it, because diabetes is so much about numbers, and for some people it becomes a little too stressful.
Yeah, there are, you can use either the lamp that changes colors. Also, this is only one type of view you can get. You don't need, if you don't want to see the number, you can also get some other things like images, like pixelated things or different colors that will tell you, like where approximately you are, but not the exact number. And I think for parents it's great. It's like instead of the app on the phone, you can see it here. So it's a good point.
So Tom, I just realized we kind of talked about it, and then I didn't talk about, you're wearing your mic on your forehead.
Yes.
What's up with that?
Very cool, right? I mean, I saw that Gary V was doing that. You know what Gary V is? Who that Gary V is? No, I'm just kidding. Well, I saw Gary V. If you don't know Gary V, then I don't know what to tell you, Crystal. But it's like the most famous old school influencer of all time. But I saw him doing this once. But the reason is, first of all, I didn't shave my head, and I don't want people to see my head when it's not shaved because I'm losing hair, and I don't like people to see that. And second reason is I don't have my button-up shirt where I normally put my mic, so that's why I came up with the Gary V style solution with the hat and the mic right here. And by the way, Super Sapiens is not sponsoring us. It's just a cat that I use all the time because it's my favorite.
Okay, so that was a total side note. So we can do a yay or nay or that, but I actually like it. I think it's cool. So I also want to point out, so before we go through the list of the 7 here, if anyone wants to see more of these overrated, underrated, we were thinking about also branching out. It doesn't have to be only tech. We also want to talk, we have like very long list of all different things within diabetes that we kind of want to talk about because we disagree or we agree, and we just think they're something that could benefit you guys. So again, to Tom's point, let us know. But the first one was glucometer, yay or nay?
Yes, yay.
Yay. And then the next one was Dexcom G7.
I think I said it's properly rated, like this.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, I can't help. Okay, food scale. Boo.
Well, problem with this, we are showing thumbs up, thumbs down, but if someone is listening, they will not see it. Anyway, we just finished.
So we have to say it. So this is also because Tom and I have been doing video for so long, I tend to forget. So my apologies. So smart insulin pen, thumbs up for me.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay, that's it. Insulin coolers. I think that's a kind of like That's a down for you. It's kind of a medium for me, just because my situation and where I live. Omnipod 6, down for me. Nope.
Omnipod 5, thumbs down. Omnipod 6 will be better, I'm sure.
I don't know anything about Omnipod 6. I'm not revealing anything here. And then
We were not supposed to talk about that, Crystal. We were not supposed. They told us not to talk about Omnipod 6. It's coming out only next year. It was secret. Now everybody knows. We're in trouble. We're gonna get sued for this.
we're definitely going to keep with it, because yes. Omnipod is never going to want to work with me ever. It's okay. It's not okay, but it's fine. Okay, last one, Sugar Pixel, or let's say, or other displays. Tom is like 2 thumbs up. Mine was down. I'm not sold yet, but I think I have to try it to give like a proper opinion.
You should. You should. I can try to get you one.
Cool.
Yeah.
He's gonna hook me up.
Yeah, I'm gonna hook you up. That's the word. Yeah. No, I'm sure once you get one, you will want at least one more for your other room or wherever you spend your time.
Fair. Okay, so we went through all 7 things. I actually think you changed my mind. You changed my mind. You gave me some really good perspective on G7. You're right. There's a lot of functional things that are not working, or not working as well as they should. So I think that kind of tipped the scale a little bit for me. You're never going to convince me on the food scale. And I actually also think the insulin coolers is a really good point about, well, it's situational, right? It depends on what's your lifestyle, and it depends on where you live, where you go.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yes, and I'm gonna give it a try with the food scale. I commit to it. I'm gonna try, and we're gonna talk about it next time in one of the next episodes. All right. I really enjoyed this format, Crystal. I don't know if anyone who's listening or watching this, if they liked it or if they thought it was like too crazy or too like, I don't know, all over the place. But I really liked it. I think it was so much fun. What about you?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I hope that anyone watching or listening also got a little bit of, feedback on maybe some of the products that you're considering, or some of those things where you're like, hey, is this really worth it?
Yeah, definitely. And if you did, give us a like, and we'll see you next time. Ciao.
Bye-bye.